Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Like always, we'd love to see where our participants are joining us from today. So if you'll open up that question box that's located in your control panel and just share with us where you're joining from today. I am joining from the state of Oklahoma today. Let's see where some of our attendees are joining from today. Looks like we have Michael from Mass. Gary from Southeast Idaho, welcome. Kelly from Texas, so glad you're here. Phil in Connecticut, Laura is in upstate New York, welcome. Thanks for spending your afternoon with us. Brady's joining us from Utah. We have Courtney in Georgia. Crystal in Texas, hello Crystal, good to see you online. Benjamin from Maryland, welcome. Mitch from Ogden, Utah, welcome. Barbara from Florida, Daniel from California. It looks like we have a lot of states covered today. Shay from Florida, welcome. Mark's joining us from Arizona. Glad you're here, Mark. Monica's joining us from Florida as well. We have Scott from North Carolina. So we have a lot of participants joining us right now. We'll get started in just a few minutes. If you're just logging on, open up that question box that's located in your control panel. It's that orange rectangle with the white arrow. Then find the question box and just type in that question box where you're joining from today. Looks like we have Thomas from Utah, Judy from Philadelphia. We also have Michelle from Pennsylvania. Welcome, glad y'all are here. If you're returning, thanks for joining us again. If you're a new attendee, we're glad you're here. Susie's joining us from Connecticut, Brett from coastal Alabama, Michelle from Indiana. We have David from Mississippi, welcome, so glad y'all are here. Francisco from El Paso, Texas, hello. We have lots of people joining right now, the number just keeps increasing. Sean, welcome from Georgia. If you are just joining us, open up that question box. We love to see where everyone's attending from. We have Sandy from Ohio. Welcome. Glad you're here, Sandy. And like I was saying, if you're a returnee, thanks for coming back to another office hour webinar with your favorite friends at Goodheart-Willcox. And if you're new, hang on. This may be unlike anything you've ever participated in before. Also, we have Ann joining us from Nebraska. Welcome. Rebecca from Wisconsin. Travis from Oklahoma. Welcome, y'all. So glad you're here. Joe from Tennessee. Glad you're here. Let's see who else is joining us. Lisa from Texas. We have lots of Texas joining us. I feel like we have a good representation of all the states today. What do y'all think? I feel like we have the major four corners kind of covered, the central covered, the south covered. Got the Midwest covered. If you're just joining us, open up that question box, share with us where you're joining from. We'll get started momentarily. Shannon from Wisconsin, welcome. Glad you're here. I'm glad y'all have all found the question box because we'll use it in today's session. Genevieve from Virginia, Melissa from Texas, welcome. Steve from Alabama, welcome. Glad y'all are taking some time to join us today as we talk about breaking out of the norm. We'll get started in 1 minute. If you're just joining us, open up that question box, share where you're joining us from. We have Mandy from Mississippi, welcome. Glad you're here. We also have Mandy from Pennsylvania, welcome. Looks like we have 3 Mandys on the call today. That's fun. Jana Lee from Wisconsin, welcome. Rachel from Virginia, welcome. Glad y'all are here today. We'll get started in about 30 seconds. Dee from Virginia as well, welcome. Ricardo from Texas, welcome. Glad y'all are here. All right, let's get started, y'all. So without further ado, welcome to Breaking Out of the Norm to Increase Student Engagement. My name is Mandy Green, and I am a content specialist with Goodheart-Willcox. And hang on, this session may be unlike anything you've attended before. Make sure you grab your smartphone because we will have some polls and surveys. I'll also be dropping some links in the chat so that we can all collaborate and work on projects together as we learn with and from each other in this 30-minute, super fast professional development webinar. So let's get started. First, where are we at with digital breakouts? Let's just kind of poll our audience, our attendees, and figure out where we're at. So you're going to grab your smartphone, open up the camera app, and you're going to scan the QR code that you see on the screen. When you do that, it'll take you to a Mentimeter site. And in that Mentimeter site, you're going to answer the question. So there are 2 questions that you'll find there. Do you have time to scan the code, excuse me. All right. It also, for some reason, put it in the chat 4 times, but it's in there. Let's see where we're at. All right, it's thinking. Here we go. All right, so where are we at with digital breakouts? Have you heard of digital breakouts before? Yes, so we're kind of like 50-50, yes, of course, and no. That's great. So a little more no than yeses, great. Okay, if you answered yes, have you used a digital breakout before? Let's find this one out. So you should go back to your phone and it should say presenter advance the slide. You can click the blue button and then you can cast your vote again. Hopefully that works. Sometimes results are a little delayed. You can only cast it if you voted yes, probably. Do I need to refresh this? Well, that's interesting. I don't know what's going on there. Just like any good teacher, sometimes technology goes awry and doesn't progress the screen. Anyways, we're going to go with this data. So close to 50-50, but mainly slightly leading towards the no, we haven't heard or used digital breakouts before. So let's take that into consideration. So what are we going to do today? We're going to kind of define what a digital breakout is. You're going to get to experience a digital breakout kind of as a learner. And then we're going to kind of look at ways that this might work for you or your students. You'll also find some tips on how to set up a digital breakout as we go throughout some of the different activities. Sound good? Okay, great. So let's talk about this. What is a digital breakout? So here's my questions to you. Do you like puzzles? Do you like escape rooms? Then you'll probably like digital breakouts. So these are kind of a simple way that we can start to gamify our classrooms while engaging our students, especially those hard to engage students. And all along the way, we'll encourage those critical thinking skills. Students or learners will have the opportunity to learn content while finding information that they'll use to unlock their path through the breakout. You can create these digital breakouts in lots of ways. There's many products from Google in the Google Suite you can use. Microsoft has many products that you can use. And if you don't want digital, you could actually kind of use like a pen and paper kind of route as well. So, are you ready to try a digital breakout? Okay, super. Now we're going to kind of go slow here and scaffold this. So first you're going to scan that QR code, but I have found it's actually easier if you click on the link that's in the chat. That's going to open up a new tab on your laptop or computer, and it'll make it a little bit larger so it's easier to interact because we'll be using a form and a website at the same time. So the link in the chat might be a little easier for you to use. Once you get to that Google site, if you'll just pause for a moment, we're going to work on that first lock together. And I'll define what a lock is in just a moment. I have found that if we kind of work through the first one together, it really helps reduce frustrations, especially if it's your first time. And it's the same with our students. So I'll give you just a moment to scan the QR code or click on the link in the chat box. And then we're going to jump into that site. All right, here we go. So here's what you'll find. You have the title of the session first, and then you probably found the breaking out of the norm lockbox. We'll get to that. This is today's date because we're working on it today. We kind of have a few definitions about like, what are these digital breakouts? There's a graphic here about why use breakouts. And then there's some resources at the bottom to kind of help you get started. Like, let's map out your breakout, right? Because like any good lesson that we teach in our classrooms, we have a lesson plan. The same goes for digital breakouts. We have to create a plan first, or kind of like a learning path. Then we have to create some locks. This one from Ditch That Textbook focuses using Google tools. There's one here that focuses on using Microsoft tools for breakouts. There's also the Breakout EDU resources and the 7 tips to kind of help you get started too. Just some different resources. We're going to start at the top. So if you'll click on the Break Out of the Norm lock box, this is your lock box. So these are the locks that you have to undo as part of your digital breakout activity. So the first one, you'll notice there's a date lock, there's a 2-word lock, a 2-digit number lock, and another 2-digit number lock. There can be color locks, there can be all sorts of different types of locks. Let's start with the date lock. So these locks are in order. If I jump back to this tab, from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. So we're going to start at the top. So the first lock is a date. Do you see a date anywhere on this top part? Oh, you did. Awesome. It's right here. It's today's date. So I'm going to go back to my box and I'm going to enter today's date. And this even gives you a hint of the format to enter the date in. And then when I click anywhere outside of that white box, it's fine. Now, let's say I entered the incorrect date here. Let's say I thought it was yesterday. And then I click outside the box, you'll notice a hint pops up. This hint is actually the answer, but these other 3 will just be hints to help you solve the problem. So did you enter 0502 2023? Perfect, you're on the right track. The next one is a 2-word lock, 2 words with 17 letters total. So you'll return to your digital breakout. You'll look for 2 words that are 17 letters long. I'll give you just a second to complete the 2-word lock, the 2-digit lock, and another 2-digit number lock as you go down. And remember, your answers are found in order from top to bottom. Are you ready? Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to try it yourself. What happened there? Okay, you good? Okay, you got this. If you have questions, drop them in the question box. I'll give you just a couple of minutes. All right, have you gotten the second one? Did you find 2 words? Have you found your 2-digit number lock yet? Let's jump into questions. Yes, someone said the 2-word lock was case sensitive. Yes, and you can actually put those hints in there for your students if you need to. Under the description where it says 2 words with 17 letters, I could have put in there all lowercase, all uppercase. Yes, perfect. Have we found our 2-digit number lock at the end yet? Let's put in a number. And what about our last 2-digit number lock? Have we found that one yet? Remember, your answers to your locks that unlock your locks or questions are found in order from top to bottom. Ah, Ricardo, 16 for the last one. Yeah, there we go. And then you can hit submit if you want, and you're done. So you just completed a digital breakout, or you completed part of a digital breakout maybe, right? All right, let's go back to our main screen. All right, so now that you just sort of completed, worked on a little bit of a digital breakout, you got to experience it just a moment. How are we feeling about digital breakouts right now? So you're going to scan that QR code with your trusty smartphone or device, and you're going to reply just how you're feeling about breakouts. I'll also put that link in the chat for you. So if you want to click on the link in the chat, it's there as well. I'm going to click on mine. Let's see how we're feeling. Let's pick an emoji that just picks how we feel about digital breakouts at this moment in time. All right. So we have the heart eyes, like you're loving digital breakouts. We have the sunglasses, like, okay, that's cool. We have the one with the little glass that's like, I need to do some more research maybe. And then we have the one that's like, maybe it's too much, right? So we're loving it. We're like thinking it's cool. We want to do a little bit more research and practice. And then we're like, not for me right now, right? Okay, so it looks like most people are kind of in the middle. Either like, okay, I really like this. I could be cool with this, or I might need to do a little more research or practice. That's totally understandable. Like I said, these are super fast and furious and 30-minute webinars, and there's no way we can cover every single thing in 30 minutes. My goal is just to expose you to that and to give you an opportunity to learn with and from educators around the United States about these topics. And so that's what we're going to do right now. So in the question box, share with us how you have used digital breakouts or how you might use digital breakouts with your students or learners. You know, the first time I used digital breakouts, I created the breakout. I was feeling so proud of myself. And my biggest aha came to me because I had students who had been taught how to do school for so long that they had a really hard time thinking outside the box and really troubleshooting their way through the digital breakout. I learned in that moment that I needed to add more scaffolds in. So also in the question box, if you feel that you might need some more scaffolds, put that in there too. Let's chat about the scaffolding and let's chat about ways we might or have used digital breakouts before in our classroom with our students. So we have quite a few responses coming up. So talking about how it would be good for a review. Yes, you could actually use a digital breakout for a review. That also makes me wonder, Melissa, what would happen if we had our students create a digital breakout as part of the review process and have other students complete it? That would be kind of interesting to watch as well. It's great for project team building. Absolutely. You know, I also learned that very first time that my students needed to work with a partner or a triad. You know, in the real world, we work in groups with others. We don't really work in isolation. And this is kind of how our students need to be in part of the digital breakout as well, working together. 2 heads is better than 1. They can talk about the answers together before they submit them, etc. Another one came in, how do you apply this to students? So today the content of the digital breakout was digital breakouts, just to give you a brief introduction to the concept of digital breakouts. But it can be any concept. I've worked with teachers who have done it with the book The Outsiders. I've worked with teachers who have done it for safety in their auto shop. It can be applied to any content area, and it can be applied to any age level as well, because you can adjust it to meet the needs of your learners. They're also saying it could be good for a review or exit ticket. Yep, actually, that would be great. Oh, Dee's talking about steps to prepare for an interview. That would be a great topic for digital breakouts. Michael's talking about trying to digital breakouts with ELs. Yes, that's a great time as well. Let's see what else we have coming in. Can you explain where the last number and 15 came from the previous exercise? So the last number lock was 16 because it came from that mapping out your breakout. There were 16 steps into that mapping out your breakout. Sorry, I can't talk today. Digital breakouts would be great for review for exam, to review the main point. Yes, the first time using one for teaching copyright. Copyright isn't a fun topic, but when it became a race to find information and process to fill out the Google form blocks. Oh, great idea, Kelly. Thanks for sharing. Let's talk about that. Students love competition, right? They get very competitive when they're working on these digital breakouts. So it also brings out that factor of competition into the classroom to make learning more fun, more engaging, while they're using critical thinking skills and don't even realize it. I love tricking my students into using critical thinking skills when they didn't realize it. A great way to teach research. Yep. So maybe this is a great way to teach some of those topics or those lessons that maybe aren't as engaging or as exciting, to turn them into a digital breakout. And the great thing is you can Google digital breakout and find a million. There are so many that are already created that you can make copies of, you can adjust, personalize, customize, so you don't have to start from scratch. Let's see what else. To see what students know before a unit starts, or maybe use to assess how students have learned a lesson. That's a great idea, Laura. So use it to kind of activate prior knowledge. Use it to assess at the end. Yeah, so great. I love all your comments coming in. This is a really fun time where we get to learn with and from each other, and that's what makes me excited about being an educator. We have a couple more. How else could we use digital breakouts? You could use it to introduce the career unit, such as career paths, parts of a resume. Absolutely, Susie, that's a fantastic idea. Daniel's talking about how quieter students can express learning. Yeah, and what I saw over time using those students who seem to be kind of hard to engage, where you try all your tricks and everything in your toolkit, and you just can't seem to engage those students, for some reason, they have always been super engaged with these digital breakouts that I've used probably the past 5 or 6 years. They love them. And so it's great that we can have different resources in our teaching toolbox so that we can reach all students and make sure all students' voices are heard. Absolutely. You could use it as a syllabus quiz. Absolutely, David. And your syllabus is already created. And then they would have to unlock it with the different locks. And don't forget, you can have different types of locks. You can use any content, like I said. There are so many ways that we can use digital breakouts with our students. So as we start to wrap up, hopefully today you're starting to see maybe some possibilities, maybe a new kind of activity that you can gamify your classroom with, a new way to, or a different way to engage students, And hopefully some of those links in that digital breakout site, click on them, save them as a favorite. You can bookmark them. You can also just Google for them later. There's tons of resources on the internet to help you get started. And you could always feel free to email me as well, and I can direct you to some great tools and tips to get started if you're interested in digital breakouts. Also, like I was saying, lots of different scaffolds are usually needed, especially the first couple of times you do this with your students, your class. It doesn't matter if they're adults or if they're in elementary school, the scaffolding is helpful. So just think about the scaffolding as you go through. Like always, if you have questions, feel free to email me. All right, let's keep going just for the sake of time. All right, so what do? We use the instructional strategy chalk talk at the beginning. When I just kind of asked you, I surveyed a little poll, how we done digital breakouts? Are we done that? I don't know. We also use Mentimeter and digital breakouts as some of our resources today. The TCEA blog, that's from Texas, their EdTech Association, has some great ones already created. And I always pull in a little research from John Hattie because I love his research on educational influences and student engagement as well. Let's do some housekeeping before we do the last bit. Don't forget, under handouts, you're always going to find your attendance or certificate of attendance. So be sure to click on the handouts, download that so that you'll have that. It will also be emailed to you in a day, but sometimes those emails go to spam. So we just put it in the handout section so you can easily download it if you need any certificate of attendance, approval, whatever. That's there for you. Then, as always, questions. So we ran through a lot of things about digital breakouts really fast. We have about 4 minutes left. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the question box. I am happy to answer them right now in our last 4 minutes together. If you need to run, feel free to run. Thank you for joining us today. It's always a super fast and furious 30 minutes. Don't forget that there is an evaluation. We're always wanting to make these better and more useful to you. So feel free to fill out that evaluation. If you have questions, my email is on the screen. I'm happy to connect you to whatever resources you might need from GW or about digital breakouts. And I'm going to go through the questions, but I'm going to say thank you for joining us. And let's go through the questions real fast if you want to hang out. Lots of thank yous. Yes, thank you all for joining. Thank you. It's fast and furious. Will we have access to the recording? Barbara, yes. So whichever email you use to sign up for this webinar, you will get a recording and a link to that recording in that email. So check for that in the next 24 hours. Monica, thank you. Susie, thank you. Yeah, Barbara, Lisa D, thank you too. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you for joining us. I know these are fast and furious. I wish we could spend more time on them. Oh, and unclear how to create one. So those links that are in the very bottom of that breaking out of the norm site that we went to, that link is still in the chat. It has the bit.ly/dbgwpd. Click on that link. It has lots of resources for you on how to actually create step-by-step. So the mapping out your breakout, creating your locks, it has all that in there. Melissa, where do you find the evaluation? As soon as I close this webinar, it should populate. You might also get it in an email. Kelly, do you present to school districts if you are invited? All the time. It's my favorite thing to do. I love talking about teaching practices. Feel free to email me. We can connect if you're interested. And I think we got them all, y'all. Oh, indeed. I'm glad this is fresh in your mind. It's a great idea to start for the fall semester, right? As we wind down this year, it'll give you a chance to get things started over the summer and then kick it off in the fall. So I hope you all have a great afternoon. Thanks for joining us. See you in 2 weeks.